New episode of Dragon Ball DAIMA's out. It's another 2-episode review of mine. Now, I've been dealing with a kidney stone the past week, so I'm not my best self. So forgive me if I seem a little less articulate today. It's been a rough and painful week. In episode 11, Majin D was created, so another new Majin in addition to, the Majin Ku that we already had. Majin D is much more like Majin Buu. He still has a Cyberman as the base, but they buried the Cyberman seed deeper than the one used for Majin Ku, and they just used more of Majin Buu's essence. So, now, Majin D does look more like the fat Majin Buu, and he does have some of his mannerisms. He's got the head antenna and everything, he's got like similar hands and stuff, and he's a bit of a moron, and he loves chocolate, just like Majin Buu. Majin Ku even had to run off and get him some chocolate. Majin Ku's he seems like such a wholesome character because he was just happy to be getting a brother. There's like no malice behind Majin Ku. And to be honest, there doesn't seem to be a ton of malice behind Majin D either. Much like the Fat Buu, where it was like just misdirected. But anyways, Rinsu now has her new weapon to go and try and fight Tamagami Number 1 again for the Dragon Ball. Now, the previous episode had left off with Nebula approaching the ship that Goku and them had been traveling on. And he approaches them and reveals sort of his role in Goma's plot and everything, which everybody's, surprised about and everything. But now they have a better understanding of what really went down and how Dende got kidnapped. The cooler part of this exchange was Nebula talking to Piccolo. And Piccolo's father, Katats, being brought up. And you can say it either way, Katats or Katatsu. It's spelled Katats in the subtitles. And that's a viable way of saying it because a lot of times in Japanese, the su or zu sound is silent. Not always, but pretty often. So really, if you say Katats or Katatsu, neither is incorrect. So it's just sort of a pronunciation thing. But anyways, they talk about Piccolo's father briefly. So, we got... And that's not the first time Piccolo's father's been mentioned in Dragon Ball, by the way. That's not new. Just reminding everybody. I'm pretty sure that was brought up briefly in the Namek arc. So, it's been a long time, but it's not the first time it's been mentioned. Now, Nebula wants to go with them, and, they're like, oh, no, the ship's too full, or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but you need to be able to speak Namekian to activate the Dragon Balls. And, I'm sitting here thinking, like, everybody, okay, well, they got Piccolo. But then they even asked Piccolo's like, well, Piccolo, don't you know Namekian? And he's like, no, I've been on Earth for too long. And I'm like, are you serious? I don't know if this is a plot hole or a retcon, to be honest. It's weird that Piccolo can't speak Namekian anymore. He did speak Namekian at the 23rd? I think it was the 23rd tournament? The Tenkaichi Budokai? When he fought Kami in disguise. But granted, that was a different Piccolo. It was Piccolo Jr., whereas this Piccolo is the nameless Namekian, his and Kami's true self. But regardless. And I get it, it's a use it or lose it kind of thing with other languages. If you don't use it often enough, then you just kind of forget it. But it's just weird, right? Because it's like he also had Kami in him, which aside from being Namekian, had sort of a certain level of divine knowledge. But even if we discount that, he has Nail within him. Nail should at least know Namekian. Unless it's a different dialect. Maybe ancient Namekian is different. Who knows? But it just seems odd. I can understand the whole, I just haven't spoken it in a long time, so, I'm not good enough at it for you to use me as, your source of Namekian. It's just weird, right? It just seems unusual. I don't know. It's just weird. But anyways, it's a weird plot point that, I've decided to kind of just ignore and move beyond because it's like, well, It's weird, but I guess I get it, you know, that sort of thing. Vegeta decides he's going to fight Tamagami number 2 because Goku got to fight number 3, and Vegeta's like, well, you know, it's my turn. You know how they always bicker or whatever. Decide who gets to fight what. And Majin D fights Tamagami number 1. So these fights are happening simultaneously. And it goes into the next episode. So Vegeta, the episode ends on a bit of a cliffhanger of Vegeta supposedly gets eaten by that Kraken thing, that sea monster. And again, these fights are happening simultaneously. So Majin Du's fighting Tamagami number 1. And Majin Du is not a bad fighter, but he's a goofy one. I mean, he's a complete goof. It just much like Majin Buu. But he does pretty well early on. And now we go into the next episode, which would be episode 12, which was today's episode. And we're back in the fights, and it's revealed almost immediately. Vegeta didn't get eaten. He almost did. But he managed to avoid getting eaten by the Kraken and continues to try to fight off the Kraken while fighting Tamagami number 2. The Kraken eventually gives up after trying to eat Vegeta again. And Vegeta powers out with what looks like Super Saiyan 2 because he's got the sparks around him and everything. Majin Du picks things up against Tamagami number 1 and continues to do exceedingly well. But he does stop and he's like, you know what, I want some chocolate. And he starts throwing a temper tantrum because he wants some chocolate. And Majin Buu has to go get him some more for him to continue fighting. But with Vegeta's fight, he's doing pretty well against Tamagami number 2, but then Neba sort of magically powers the Tamagami up. The Tamagami even looks a little different. He starts like glowing with different colors and stuff, and starts really putting in some work on Vegeta. And the biggest thing that happened was Vegeta went Super Saiyan 3 in this episode. I had heard rumors for a while someone was getting a new form and that it was potentially going to be Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I didn't know it was actually going to happen, but it did. We got Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Now Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 does look different. It's not like Goku's where the hair goes down the back. It kind of goes up and straight out. It's kind of weird looking, but also kind of cool looking. It's at least different, and it gives him a unique Super Saiyan 3. He's got the same eyes, no eyebrows, so that's like a trademark Super Saiyan 3 thing, but it looks different than Goku's and Gotenks's because his hair stands up more. And I guess it makes sense because, you know, one of Vegeta's defining hair traits is that it stands straight up. So it makes sense that it doesn't go all the way down like Goku's did. But then again, Gotenks' hair stood straight up, so I don't know. Different Saiyans, different looks for Super Saiyan 3, I guess. But it is interesting. And who knows if it would look different in his adult form or not. I doubt it, but you never know. He goes Super Saiyan 3 against Tamagami number 2 and absolutely just wrecks him. Without even trying. You can see it on his face. Like, he's just, at this point, toying with him. The Tamagami admits defeat. Because at this point, it's like, even the Tamagami can recognize Vegeta's not even trying, and he's putting in that work. So, Tamagami gives up, gives Vegeta a little, like a word problem, you know, like those math word problems or whatever. But I guess it's like a trick question. Has to do with like, it's like a hypothetical, like a little kid or whatever, and some biscuits and stuff. Some biscuits get taken or eaten or whatever, and you know, there's a snake involved. And I'm not going to go through the whole word problem here because he was talking pretty quickly. But Vegeta gives his answer. Go watch the episode if you want to know how he solves that problem. Vegeta gave his answer. He got the Dragon Ball. No one thought he was going to be able to get the answer, but to be honest, I think Vegeta just kind of took a shot in the dark and just pretended to be confident about it. But Majin Du also had similar luck with his Tamagami, where he defeated Tamagami number 1. After getting some chocolate, he got revitalized and got sort of a power boost almost, but he was feeling good, and he put a beating on Tamagami number 1 and managed to, in his problem was like, they were looking at that Dragon Ball hologram that's near a lot of the Tamagami, and a bunch of numbers will flash across, and he had to tell the Tamagami what the sum of all of those numbers were. Now, we knew Majin D was not going to be able to get this, but Majin Ku apparently is pretty smart and has quick eyes and can think quickly because he knew the answer. And he kind of whispered it to Majin D. Majin D repeated it, got the Dragon Ball. So now Goku and the others are in possession of 2 Dragon Balls. Orinsu is in possession of 1. Goma and Degasu are now... they're now aware of both parties hunting for the Dragon Balls. The episode sort of ends with Goma just... Clearly, he plans on doing something. He didn't reveal what. It's sort of left on a bit of a cliffhanger in that sense. But he's got something that he's going to do or unleash or whatever. Seems like maybe a desperation act or something, because he and Degasu have been found sort of on the back foot in all of this. They didn't know they were there for the longest time, and now they know they are there, and they have the Dragon Balls. And Orinsu, they now know that Orinsu is, playing to her own designs, and trying to get the Dragon Balls as well. So we have 3 interested parties, all with their own goals in mind. And I say it every other week when I do one of these reviews. I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm very interested to see how these 3 parties, who's the real threat here? Are Goma and Degasu much of a threat at all? Is Orinsu the real threat? Are the new Majins that much of a threat? It's still too early to tell for me. And it's honestly too early for most people to tell. Now, we can theorize all day long, because it's like, okay, well, it looks like Orinsu's the real problem. Is she? I'm not entirely convinced yet. Because there's too many moving parts, for the show, and we're probably somewhere around halfway through at this point. But there's too much going on to be able to confidently say where the show's heading. But I do think with now all the Dragon Balls accounted for, things should hopefully start to move quicker in the direction towards the climax. Now, I'm interested. Now, I loved the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I was a little taken aback by the design choice, but I was like, okay, I can get with this. I want to know, what were your thoughts on Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta? Did you like it? Did you hate the design? Were you just happy to see Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta represented in an official Dragon Ball work? I'm gonna be honest, that was pretty cool to me. Vegeta will now be personally aware of the energy drain Super Saiyan 3 has. So that would explain why he never uses it in Super, especially once they get the God forms. There's going to be those losers who's like, it doesn't make sense, because why would he never use it? It's okay, well, Goku barely used it too. And you got to remember, we didn't even see Super Saiyan God Vegeta in the anime until the Broly movie. It didn't mean he didn't know how to use it, because he had Super Saiyan Blue, which is just Super Saiyan stacked on top of the God form. So, you got to remember, just because they don't use a form doesn't mean they can't use a form. But Vegeta is now just as aware as Goku is of the drawbacks of Super Saiyan 3. It's just at this stage, it was the most powerful form he had, and Vegeta's smart enough to know that transforming into Super Saiyan 3 probably was going to give him the boost he needed to end that fight, and it did. It was a good call on his part. So at least Vegeta got a W. It's not something that happens ultra often, but for Vegeta fans, at least he got a W, and with Super Saiyan 3 no less. So we know he's capable. But anyways, what were your thoughts on these episodes? Episode 11, I don't know. I give it, an 8 out of 10. Seems fair. For episode 12, 8.5, maybe 9. I'll stick with that 8.5. The fights are really cool. I did like the fights. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta really kind of sealed the deal for me. It was a really action-packed episode 12 was. So, I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Leave a comment below. Like the video, subscribe for more anime content. It's been a slow season between Christmas. Me and my wife are starting the whole house hunting process, looking for a house, and again, me dealing with kidney stones the past week. So it's I haven't gotten a lot of work done. I do have another Myths, Folklore, and Anime video coming, but it got delayed due to just everything that's going on. But I thank everybody that has subscribed recently. I'd love to know, what are your theories on Dragon Ball DAIMA so far? Like, what are your theories about who's the real big bad? Rinsu, Goma, Degasu, the Majins, Neba, you know, even though I don't really get that feeling about Neba, but he could be. Who do you think is the real threat here? You know, who's the real big bad of the show? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.